So in this release, there's a lot of new features and configuration options that Jennifer will tell you about how they work. That will make it possible to make the solution much more different than you have been able to in the first release or the 2.0 release. Furthermore, Rapido is also a project where we're going to release at some point a lot of documents related to the Rapido project. First of all, you have the documentation already where you can see what Rapido can do and how to use it and configure it, and that's a benefit because you can use it as a manual for your customers and of course also yourself. And later we'll introduce supporting documents for creating quotes and scoping and all the documents you need in order to get a customer on Dynamicweb and Rapido especially. But that's going to be a separate partner program that will be introduced with the summit in the spring. So more on that later on in the process. And before I'll hand it over to Jennifer, I just want to show you a couple of examples of some of the solutions that have been implemented using Rapido 1 and 2. Just to show you that they can look pretty different and that people are using them all over the place. So enough from me, and I'll let you hear what Jennifer has to say about the content of the release. There you go, Jennifer.
So during this Rapido 1.2 release, we have on our roadmap gathered a lot of information from our own services department regarding what they want to do with Rapido, but we also got a lot of feedback from our different partners, which was really nice to have for this release because they are the one who's really dealing with the complication that is with Rapido, or what kind of wishes they have as well in order to improve Rapido. So thank you for that, first of all. And I will go through some different functionalities that are added in Rapido 1.2, and later on I will demonstrate an example of some of the features as well.
And that is, of course, Rapido 2.1.
I'm sorry, 2.1, yes. And first of all, we have applied more design layout, top design layout for Rapido. So you have like different options to where the menu should lie, and the logo and the icons as well. So we have now 7 different top layout designs for Rapido. And some of you also have required that it should be possible to change icons in Rapido, and right now it's possible to use the Font Awesome free icons in Rapido, and you can also use the Font Awesome Pro icons as well. You just need to require a license for that, but you can change the icons such as the search, sign in, country, and card as well, and the favorite icon. Other than that, we also have the top layout for mobile devices. Beforehand, the top layout mobile devices was really dependent on the top layout for bigger devices, and now we have separated those two. So we have 4 different top layout design that you can choose from, and that's just different design on where you have the burger menu and the different icons. So you, for example, with these 2 examples, we have the burger icon on the left and one to the right. Yeah. Also, we have 2 different mobile navigation design. One where the navigation is expanding vertically, and the other one is more horizontally when you show it in a new page. For example, at number 2, you can see when clicking on the bike, it will change to the next page showing the subcategories in that bike. Image filters are also added to the paragraph containers or in the paragraph itself, because most of the time we have different kind of images where we will have different kind of filters on it. So instead of uploading 5 different images with the different filters, you can now upload 1 image and then use some of the different kind of filters that we have added to this paragraph. Some of these examples shows, for example, that we have lighten filter, blur and dark, blur and sepia, and then exposure filter. And you can add up to 2 filters on top of each other. And this is to enhance some of the font that is written on top of the images, for example. Other than that, we have added H3 So you can now define the font design for H3. We have also added secondary link to a paragraph, so you can apply 2 buttons on a paragraph. And there was also a request from some of the partners that the width layout, that there should be 1/6 and 1/12, depending on what type of images they want to display, or icons as well. And also we have added up to 5 different brand color, which can be reused in the paragraph, so you don't need to define the color every time. And also, I think before you could only use the grayscale color and only the brand color 1 and 2. So now you have more opportunities to reuse it in the different paragraphs. Going further to content and marketing, we have added content search in our paragraph. There are different ways to use it, because depending on your website, it depends on if you only need product search or only content search, if it's, for example, a non-e-commerce solution, or you can have both as well. So this is a configuration in website settings where you choose actually which one is more suited for your solution. And the content search is searching for example, pages, articles, events, and different kind of page items you have on the site. Other than that, we have tried to optimize the email template, so you are now able to add background color, separation lines, and also reuse the button designs from website settings. Also, you can now add some specific colors for the email template, which is not used, which differs from the different kind of devices, and you can also select which kind of alignment the header should have and the footer as well. Then we have a page called white papers, where it's actually different kind of content you can have on your page that is downloadable. It could, for example, be images, or it could be instructions, brochures, and it's actually just a grid list, which gathers all these kind of articles and instruction and downloadable content in one page, where you can download it from there. We also have the event list calendar. Here you can gather a list of different kind of events happening on your site, where it presents the title of the event, but also some different information about the date, where the local is, and people can sign up for this. And this event list you probably have seen on our own Dynamicweb website. So this can also be reused, for example, on your site, depending on if you have an event in your solution. If you're going to the e-commerce, we have some different kind of configuration on the product list, but also product detail. But I think we're going to show that instead. So here in the product list, beforehand we couldn't really configure the designs here in the product list. It was really just the same, and you couldn't really change the look of these, but now you can configure the looks of it. So you could and also the facets as well. So for example, we can go to the product list and add just like a gray background, just to add some color there, just to start off with something. And in website settings, we have these different kind of configuration. So for example, we have some different designs for the facet. If you want to have another kind of look instead of a border, then we use a separation lines, and we can also edit like the font color and so on it, and we can edit how big the box size is. Let's just have a medium, and also if it should be closed from the start. So if we edit that, instead of this kind of boxed frame, we now have have it closed and have a separation line as well. Or if we need to have some background color for the header, we can also do that. So we can really define how the facet should be. Also, a thing that we have added on the facet is when there are more than 20 options, a search field will appear here. So if we go further to the product list, we can also define border color, background color, etc. We can just show some example. Now you have this kind of look to it. And if you go over to the grid list, we can actually define for each list view how the look should be. So many of the partners have asked that they want to change the amount of column that is used here, because before it was really fixed that it was only 3, but depending on what you want, you can now choose between 2, 3, or 4 columns. So if we, for example, select 4 of them, and we want to remove the view button or add to cart button, we can show or hide those as we want. We have the text left aligned, and we, for example, don't want to have a border around it. It now goes from this look to this look. So you can just configure it a way around. And the same as well for the product details. You can also just hide a lot of information or change the color for that. So it's pretty similar, the configuration for that as well. And another thing we have done is also have configuration for the product details. For example, right now in this product detail, we have this product and a long list. But now you're able to configure designs if you, for example, want to have the image position to be on the left, and you can change the alignment of the by stock and price as well, or you can choose to hide some of the things if you don't want it to be present. So if we just save that, it is now changed to this side. So in the product detail, we will also have this kind of information divided into different categories. For example, the product information, which is actually the product fields. And then we have the brand details and equipment, which is the product category. And they're also divided into their section. And then we have the related products down here. So these information are divided as well in website settings. So you could, for example, say that, oh, I want my full description on a tab. I want my detail fields. I want that up to be besides my product as well. I want my categories on the ribbon. And if I have download information, I don't have that in my example, but I will have that in the tab as well. And related products I want to have in the ribbon. So if we change that, we will now 2 seconds. I think I forgot this one. Yes, now we will have the information here. And then also depending on what kind of information you have on the product fields, for example, or product information and product categories, you can change it from just being a list to a grid or table view. For example, maybe I wanted the category field to be shown as a table. Then it will, for example, look like this. So the information are now presented in a 3-column grid. Or maybe you just want to show the table, and the same goes for the detail fields or product fields. So it goes from a grid and to the detail fields here. And then you can see it is also edited here. So you can actually just create your own product detail regarding on what kind of product information that suits your product page. And other than that, we also have something called variant list, and that is, I can just show you. We just start rendering it. And what it does, the variant list, is to take the variant option that we have here as a button. We update that. It takes that and renders the variants as a list below it. So we don't have the buy button up here anymore, but we have it here as a section for itself. And or if you want the variant list not to be in a ribbon down here, you can just say that you will add it beside your product information. You will put it up there, and then variant list is up here, and then you maybe will move the details fields in a tab. So now you have it here beside of each other, and then you can also add information about the difference between the different variants. So we, for example, show the color blue, red, gray, and green. But if we move it down again to the different section as a ribbon or as a section, we can add more information for it because there's more room for it. So we can, for example, add some product fields there, for example, brand, material. So if we add that, I don't have enough information from here, but you can see it will add those as a column as well in this variant list. So hopefully it will help you guys to configure it more here in the product detail regarding on the information that you have for your products. Yes, we just went through this, so I'll just go further. And another thing is that we have on the checkout flow, we have added vouchers, so you can now create a voucher code on DV and then use it in our checkout flow, both for the one-step checkout but also multi-step checkout, and the same for the recurring order. And we also supported the recurring order in the customer center. And we have also supported the shipping providers for Unitbound. So on the doc side, we have a guide to how to upgrade Rapido 2.0 to Rapido 2.1. So I highly recommend that you go in there to read how you should do. There are some things that I need to update in the doc site. For example, that you should check that in the files image folder that there's something called the placeholder.gif, and also that the image folder's payment and social icons is there as well. And a very important thing for this Rapido 2.1 is that you go through the website setting very thoroughly, because we have did a lot of design options for the product list and product details. So in order for you to see that it appears properly in the front end, you really need to go through every settings in website settings. Or you can just import our own website settings from the ribbon. You can see there's an import, and it will import the JSON file there, and then you can just edit it depending on what kind of designs you will have in that. And as most of you hopefully know, that you could also visit our doc site regarding what kind of feature that is added in Rapido 2.1. Then you can read the release notes there, but you can also see the guide regarding the different kind of configuration. We have updated it, so please read it if you need some guidance regarding that. And also we have the developer guide if you want to extend something on Rapido 2.1. And now Nikolai will take over.
Yeah. First, I think we have a couple of questions, it seemed like.
Okay.
First, there's a question if this recording will be released and the PowerPoint. And of course, as always, this will be released and be part of our website, so you can go see it again and download the slide deck. And also, as Jennifer told you, you can find the documentation of how all of this works on the doc portal. And have we considered introducing hover effects on pictures? That's a question from Morten. And maybe we have, I'm not sure in what context, but I think when you have content elements like the one we show you with the filters, that when you hover on the image, you can have the button show up and do a focus on that. So that will add to our feature request list. And we have a question about the filters, if they're generated using CSS. And I'm pretty sure they are, because it's not supported by get image. So it's just regular CSS filters, and you're able to manipulate the filters and how they work using your own customized CSS in the Ignite framework. Going back to the roadmap, this release was out last Tuesday, and after the release of 9.5, which takes place in the end of August, we have a Rapido 3.0 release, which is going to be in end of September, just before the summit. And one of the major things of that, I'll get back to that in just 1 second. And in December, there's going to be an update on that release. And in February, after the 9.6 release, you'll see a new Rapido, probably a 4 or 3.5, with a lot of new features as well. So, and the 3.0 roadmap, that's the release for September. You're going to have one big thing is the tabbed website settings, because as you see, as Jennifer started the demo, we need to search to find the right setting. And we're working on a new couple of features for items in Dynamicweb that will make it easier to find the right setting and create large item types. Then we have a lot of things with loyalty points and implementation of Google Tag Manager and Facebook Pixels, the possibility of adding notification and banner pop-ups for signing up to newsletter, or showing discounts and stuff like that, running campaigns on the website, and a lot of other optimizations on some of the feedback that we got from you. And there's a question from Hans, if we call it Rapido 3.0, and will there be an update possibility from 2 and 2.1 up to 3.0? And there will be. The reason why we call it 3.0 instead of 2.5 or something else is because of the first point called tabs in website settings. That is a technical change that requires a restructuring of the item type that configures all the settings. So that's a technical thing. And that means upgrading will not be just copying the template set. It will also be running some sort of script that will move your settings from your current item type definitions to the new one. So, but we'll support that. But it is a major change in that regard. And that also means if you have custom templates that uses some of the website settings, they will be, you need to take a look at that as well. So that's the change that you're going to see. So that's it for us now on Rapido. Feel free to ask questions. And before we end, I just want to give you the heads up of Dynamicweb Summit 2018, which will take place here in Aarhus on October 11th to the 12th. It's the same place as last year. And you better sign up pretty quick, because there's an early bird until August 1st. And this part of this year's edition of Summit, it's possible to show up on Wednesdays and participate in some training sessions as part of the fee. And you're also, are we online again? Yes. And it's also possible to be part of a Rapido hackathon that will take you through some in-depth information sessions on how to use and extend Rapido. And of course, there's a huge track on the summit itself on how to use and sell and implement using Rapido. And as last year, it's also possible to do free certification. So a lot of benefits of going on to the summit. So be sure to be there. That's it for us now. Thank you for attending, and see you after the summer holidays. And there's a question, do we have a separate Rapido training? We don't have the course yet, but it will be created in the fall. And as part of the summit, you will also be attending something that is looking like a Rapido training. That would be the Rapido hackathon.